and welcome to Easy Bio. Today's topic is the cell membrane. I spoke a little bit about the cell membrane in my videos about cells, which I will put in the description below. And now we're going to talk about it in a little bit more detail. First, let's do a recap. Cell membrane is selectively permeable, which means that it allows some molecules through the cell but prevents others. The molecules travel through active and passive transport. So what are active and passive transport? Active transport requires energy, whereas passive transport does not. So for example, when you're exercising, you're being active and you need energy to exercise, whereas when you're not exercising and you're just kind of lazing about, you don't need energy and that you're just being passive. So that's a way for you to remember that. The end of the recap. Now, let's start with the newer, more detailed stuff. Let's begin with the structure of the cell membrane, which is made up of phospholipids and membrane proteins. Every single cell has a cell membrane and is enclosed by the cell membrane. Cell membranes have two layers, with each layer containing phospholipids and proteins. So, what are phospholipids? A phospholipid is a type of lipid, fat, and makes up part of the cell membrane. Phospholipids are arranged in intracellular and extracellular environments. Intracellular environments are areas inside a cell, and extracellular environments are areas outside of a cell. So you have phospholipids outside of the cell and inside of the cell. This allows the cell membrane to be flexible as the phospholipids can move between the layers. Now, another important part of the cell membrane are membrane proteins. Membrane proteins are obviously proteins that are part of the cell membrane. There are many different types of membrane proteins, but we don't really need to worry about that for now. So, membrane proteins are located between the two layers of phospholipids and have various functions, which we will find out about shortly. Well, some of them anyway. So, what are the uses of phospholipids and proteins? Because the cell membrane is selectively permeable, it allows some molecules to pass into the cell faster than others, depending on factors such as size, and sometimes altogether prevents other molecules from coming into the cell if they are too big. For example, let's take carbon dioxide and glucose. Carbon dioxide is a gas, and so is much smaller than glucose, and so it passes through the cell membrane much faster than glucose and much easier. So what does this have to do with the function of phospholipids and proteins? Well, the smaller molecules can pass through the cell membrane much easier than the bigger molecules. If you remember, this is called passive transport, and this is where the phospholipids are involved. Proteins, however, are in charge of the bigger molecules and are actively involved in physically moving the molecules from one end of the cell membrane to the other. This requires energy, and that's why it's called active transport. Carbon dioxide travels through the membrane with passive transport, filtering through the phospholipids, whereas glucose travels through the membrane in a different type of passive transport, which is called facilitated diffusion. Now, before I wrap up, let's talk a little bit about diffusion. Diffusion, as defined, is the movement of molecules from a higher concentration to a lower concentration. Diffusion only stops when the concentration of molecules is equal on both ends. So, in essence, really, the immigration of molecules from one end of the cell membrane to the other will only stop when it's at 50%. So, you kind of have to reach an equilibrium at that point. That's it. So, what does this all have to do with the cell membrane and active and passive transport? That will all be explained in the next video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment down below. Bye bye.